you could trademark the name of a framework if it's also the name of like an offering, like a course or something.
Okay.
It's hard to trademark just like a method or a framework on its own, but there's ways where you're probably using it as something else that is kind of trademarkable. In terms of like actual copy, so copyright is another form of intellectual property, and that protects your original works of authorship. So think in your business, like your videos in your course or like your PDF guides or an ebook. So when you create these things, you want to register them with the Copyright Office, which is different than the Trademark Office.
Hello and welcome back to the Jessica Papineau Show, Living Aligned, Styled with Purpose. Today, I have a very special guest, and she is going to share all things trademark. So I can't wait to bring her to all of you. Berkeley Sweetapple, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
And I'm so happy that you're here.
I'm so happy to be here.
So I'm just going to start by reading the short bio that we have here, and then we're going to dive right in because there is so much information that I know the people that are listening are dying to know. Most of the women that are listening, that are part of my community, all have businesses. They're entrepreneurs, so they need this information. So Berkeley Sweetapple is a trademark and business attorney who helps entrepreneurs, coaches, and course creators protect their online businesses from costly legal mistakes. Through her law firm and contract template shop, she has supported over 500 clients with trademarks, contracts, and legal strategies designed to help them scale with clarity and confidence. Welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I just want to begin with number one. I am so happy that you're here. We met, gosh, has it been?
I think it was
February. It was February. Okay. That was such an amazing time. Berkeley and I had never met, and we were at Carrie Ford's event, the Champagne Club.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I remember when we met, it was actually freezing that night in Atlanta. We were in Atlanta, and we went to do the dinner, and it was so cold, and we did that red carpet. We had on like these beautiful outfits, and you and I shared a coat before it was our turn to go on. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. It was so cold that night. I actually just went to her other event, like the same Champagne Club dinner. It was in South Beach, and there were a few women who were there with us, and we were all saying, like, we're so happy it's warm out.
I love it. So, Berkeley, you are a mom. You have 3 children. You have 2 young daughters, 2.5, right?
Yes, I have a 9-year-old son and twin girls who are 2.5.
Wow. And I see you on social media, and you have beautiful children, and you're also running this incredible business. Can you just share a little bit about, what it is you do, how you got started, and then how you really niched in on this trademark business and who you serve?
Sure. So I went to law school and wasn't sure I was going to be a lawyer. I got voted most likely to quit the practice of law and become a housewife because it was just very clear that I was not like everyone else. I didn't love it. And so when I graduated, I started this blog as kind of like a way to get out of the law. So I had a law firm job, but I started a blog. It's called Lady J, short for Lady Justice. And my goal was to like monetize it. This was when blogging was like just starting to be a thing. So I wanted to monetize it and get out of law. So I joined these like masterminds and like online business courses. And, I met all of these other women in the online space who were starting businesses, and they just came to me for their legal questions. And I'm like, but guys, I'm like, I'm getting out of this. But then I loved advising them, and like I could give my expertise and actually help these women in an area that was difficult and, traditionally like kind of intimidating. And so after doing litigation for like 7 years, I started my own firm and my contract template shop. And now I work with women and some men, but entrepreneurs who have online businesses, and I get to help protect them from legal mistakes before they happen. So a lot less stressful and more fun.
I love that. Well, yeah. Well, I am in the same kind of world. I mean, yes, I'm a fashion stylist, but I also have online courses. I have a mastermind and, and I have my frameworks of how I coach clients and all the things. I also have my styling frameworks. And when I started, I did not even know anything about trademarks. I didn't know. I had my CSJ, and I was customized styling by Jessica back then, and I didn't trademark anything. And I really didn't know what I was doing when I started in terms of like the legal things. We don't ever think about those things, when we're first starting out and we're passionate and we're excited. And so can you share, because I also serve very similar clients to you, clients like myself that are high achieving women and they're entrepreneurs, a lot of coaches and, women that have incredible frameworks. They worked their whole lives to come up with these frameworks. And so what do you say to those women that are, either just starting their companies or they're rebranding and they've never thought about trademarks?
So I think it's normal to not know about these legal things when you're getting started or even when you're years into your business because you're not an attorney. So one, don't feel bad about it if this is your first time learning about trademarks or why they're important. But then the next thing I would say is once you do learn what a trademark is and what it does, I would say like trademark any word, phrase, or design that you have in your business. So your business name, your course name, your mastermind name, your catchphrase or slogan, anything that you love that like identifies your brand, you want to register it as soon as possible. So a lot of people think, well, I have the domain or I have the LLC name or I have the Instagram handle. So I own the name and no one else can use it. And that's just not true. So a federal trademark is the only thing that gives you the exclusive right to use your name in all 50 states in your industry and stop copycats from using that name.
Okay. And I actually was recently listening, Berkeley, to one of your podcasts, and I learned something that I never really thought about because it made sense to me that, you have your name, like mine is CSJ, Authentic Fashion Styling. We did trademark those things. But what I didn't even think about is trademarking my name. Do you recommend that? And just can you share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So it's difficult to trademark, like if your business name is a common last name combined with your services, like Smith Consulting, that's hard to trademark. You would get what's called a surname refusal. But if your full name is your brand name, you should absolutely trademark it. Like I've registered Berkeley Sweetapple. My template shop used to be under my name. And I don't know that anyone is going to have a similar name, but I'm not risking it. So, but if you do have like a more common name, you definitely want to register it because there have been people fighting over the use of their actual name, like Kylie Minogue, Kylie Jenner fighting over Kylie. Like there's many instances where people are using their name as their brand name now a lot more. And it's just like any other business name.
So even if someone has a business name that is not their name, but their name is used of course, in their branded materials, but if they use their name, say, strictly for their Instagram handle, for example, should someone still be looking at trademarking their name?
If they're using it to identify the source of their goods or services. So if they're selling things under their name, then yes.
Okay. So what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see entrepreneurs making when it comes to, their businesses really and the legal things in their business?
So the biggest thing is not trademarking. And then, we see this like nightmare play out on a weekly basis, but someone gets a cease and desist because someone else has either been using the name for a long time and has had it trademarked for a long time, or they just file for the trademark before our client. And then our client has to rebrand and they have to do so within 3 weeks. So that's kind of like a very common scenario we see. And it's like heartbreaking because, people have attachments to their names. So that's like number one. And then just making sure your contracts are really solid. So the contracts that you have with your clients, making sure like you update them like quarterly, annually at the very least, and like make sure that they accurately reflect the services that you're providing and like the boundaries you want to have and the deliverables, all of that. Just going through, making sure you have an attorney drafted or reviewed contract for your main offers.
Wow. Well, you just said something that, I'm sure many people that are listening that have not ever trademarked and maybe they've had a brand, they for a long period of time. I cannot even imagine, getting that cease and desist when, you've been running your business under a certain name for a long period of time. And then that coming in the mail, 3 weeks to do a rebrand.
Yeah,
Wow.
I don't always negotiate, but that's like a typical time period we see.
Wow. And then I'm just thinking about what are the, as a coach, a lot of the women that I'm sure you're serving are coaching other people on business, and then their business, they have to change their name. Like, how do you explain that away?
Yes, you're hitting my marketing points. Hey, if you're a coach teaching other women, how to run successful businesses, trademarking is like number one. It's number one in terms of protecting yourself and not having to go through like an embarrassing and disruptive rebrand. But it's also number one in terms of like structuring your business for an exit and making sure your business is valuable. Like that's one of the first things somebody who's like potentially buying your business or going to invest in your business is going to ask for.
I think a big misconception, because I know that it was for me, was, and this is probably going to sound funny to you because you're probably like, what? You didn't know that. But when I started out, I really thought that if I bought the domain, that it meant that was mine. No one else could use it.
Well, no one else can use that domain because you bought it, but it doesn't mean they can't use the name. But a lot of people think this.
Yeah.
This is very common. Yeah.
It's wild. So I actually didn't even really think about trademarking. So I had been in business probably, for like 4 years before I remember listening to a podcast, and I can't even remember exactly who it was that was speaking, but it was someone that had a very specific quote that people knew of, like a quote that was said very often. It was like even in this person's book, and it was something that they had highlighted for years, and someone else took it. And I remember listening to this podcast and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have anything trademarked. I don't want that to be me because I'm going to be really big one day. And and I want to make sure that I have my stuff protected. So do you even, where I get a little bit unclear, and I think many people do that are listening, is how much can I actually trademark, and what are the parameters around that?
So the test is like it's any word, phrase, or design that identifies the source of your goods or services. So if you think of Nike, like the word Nike, the swoosh, the tagline, just do it, all of those are trademarks. So with coaches, we typically see like business name, business logo, mastermind name, course name, retreat name, tagline, product names. Product names are huge. So if you have a product-based business, like a skincare line, like the names of your little, your jars of like that's one that a lot of people miss because they're like, well, it's just a product name. And it's like, yes, but if someone else has trademarked that name in the skincare category, you can't use that as a product name. So you can have a lot of trademarks in your business. We have some clients with like 10 to 25 trademarks. So it just depends on your business and kind of the offers that you have.
But and what about when it comes to like your copy and your messaging? Can you trademark that? Like your frameworks, for example?
Well, you could trademark the name of a framework if it's also the name of like an offering, like a course or something.
Okay.
It's hard to trademark just like a method or a framework on its own. But there's ways where you're probably using it as something else that is kind of trademarkable. In terms of like actual copy, so copyright is another form of intellectual property, and that protects your original works of authorship. So think in your business, like your videos in your course or like your PDF guides or an ebook. So when you create these things, you want to register them with the Copyright Office, which is different than the Trademark Office.
What I was going to say is, one thing that I noticed, and I know I'm using myself as an example, but I've heard this from many coaches that, even put some of their stuff out there on social media, for example, that like they have their certain, way that they say things, and it's all copy based. And then they see somebody else using it, or, they have something on their website, like a lead magnet, and someone that's in that business goes, oh, that's really good. I'm going to take that. So how does that work?
So that's where copyright would come into play. So you can protect anything that you create. You can register your work with the U.S. Copyright Office. It's difficult sometimes because people aren't, registering everything. Like they're not registering every single social media post and every single lead magnet. And can't really protect like an idea per se.
Okay.
And it's hard to enforce if you don't register your work with the U.S. Copyright Office. Technically, you still own the rights to anything you create, but it's really hard to do anything like to sue someone and get damages unless you've registered it with the U.S. Copyright Office.
Hey there, it's Jessica Papineau. If your wardrobe feels more like a source of stress than a source of confidence, I have something special for you. My Simplify and Elevate course is an online, step-by-step journey to transform your wardrobe and your mindset. You'll learn how to let go of what no longer is serving you and curate a wardrobe that truly reflects the powerful woman you are. Imagine starting each day with clarity, confidence, and a sense of ease, knowing exactly what to wear to feel unstoppable. This isn't just about clothes, it's about stepping into your full presence. Join me at csjstyling.com and let's elevate every aspect of your life, starting with your style. I see. So then once you do register, once you have your trademarks, right, and you have, some of your copy is, it's copyrighted and you have, all your ducks in a row, you've done all the things. What then happens when someone infringes upon that, or you see, that they have taken some of that intellectual property? I know you said something about a cease and desist. How does that work?
Yeah. So normally we start with a cease and desist letter and we just say, listen, you're infringing on my client's content and you need to take it down now. And sometimes we'll demand like a settlement if it's like really egregious. And most of the time people take it down.
And if they didn't, what happens?
If they didn't, the next step would be to file a lawsuit. But lawsuits are expensive. Like to hire a litigator, it's like $10,000, $15,000 like to start. But if you have registered, and so, I was just saying that registering your work. So if you say you're a famous photographer and you register your photos, if somebody has taken your photos and put them on their website, you can get statutory damages, which are like up to $30,000 per violation. And it's then worth it probably to sue someone.
Wow. Okay. Do you find that a lot of your clients, if they do come to you and someone has infringed upon or, used their trademark somewhere and you send that cease and desist you send that cease and desist letter, what do you usually find the outcome to be? Do they, back off typically, or
They either back off or they hire an attorney to then negotiate some sort of settlement.
I see. Okay. Okay. So it sounds like, in the business that you're in, like I'm so grateful that you are in this very niche business, because I am really excited to actually introduce you to some of my clients that have asked me questions like, where do I begin? And a lot of the women I'm working with are doing rebrands. And they're like, okay, now I'm investing a lot into my brand and I'm leveling up and I'm ready to like take things to the next level, and they don't really know where to begin. How do you begin with someone? Do you, get on a call with them, or what is it that you do when you first, meet a potential client?
So sometimes I get on calls with clients. Sometimes they just voice note me on Instagram. We're very informal around here. It just depends on how people like to communicate. Once they sign up to work with us, we start by having them fill out like a short questionnaire, just like the name they want to rebrand to, for instance, and the goods and services that they're providing. And then we can do a comprehensive clearance search. So we always start out by making sure the name is available, so that we know what we're getting into, and whether like you should change the name or whether you're good to go with that name before we file. So that's how we start.
So I know so many people that they go ahead and they hire a company, they create their logo, they have their tagline, they have it all ready to go. Do you find that people are proactive for the most part in reaching out to you before they do these things, or do you find that it's more after the fact?
I would say for new clients, it's after the fact. Sometimes it's not. I mean, I have women come to me where they're like, I have all of these offers that I want to trademark, but I haven't launched them because I want to make sure that they're not taken. So I would say it's a mix. And then I would say my current clients, they know before they launch anything. And we'll do searches. We'll do clearance searches for our current clients. Like, they know to come to us before they get committed to a name.
Well, I'm sure, a lot of people are, they've been burned in the past or something's happened to them. And that's why they're like on it when they do a rebrand, even. I'm sure so many people have had things happen to them that, you never think it's going to happen to you, right?
And once that happens, people never launch anything without a trademark search or filing a trademark. It's like a hard lesson to learn, but once you've learned it, you're drinking the trademark Kool-Aid.
Well, this is why Berkeley, you're all over my feed. You come up a lot, probably because I comment on things and I love your stuff, but it's like you also go on podcasts and you're spreading the word to those who would maybe not think about doing these things, prior to starting their companies or prior to doing this rebrand. And I'm sure you save people a lot of money, a lot of stress, a lot of heartache over bad things happening with their brands.
Yeah. I hope that's what I'm doing. I think it is, I can only hope I've saved somebody stress of rebranding.
I'm sure you have. I'm sure you have along the way. Yes. I do remember when I went through my really big rebrand, this was right before I met you, Berkeley. And I did hire a lawyer to help with trademarks and things. And once we did our launch of our new rebrand and our website and all of that, I noticed that some people were starting to utilize some of my messaging. And it was like, okay, I am so glad that I protected myself. And it wasn't to the point where we had to like send a cease and desist order, but it was like, okay, I completely now understand the why I needed to do this, the importance of it. And, I just think so many people that don't even think about these things.
And then I think there are other people who really do think about them, and it's a mental block where they're like, I know I'm not protected. I know I like haven't done these things and I'm afraid of putting myself out there and like launching this thing or spreading the word and being visible because like I know I have, loose ends.
You know what? I did not even think about that, but that is such a good point. We invest, and this is the thing being in business, it's like discerning all the right things that you need to do, right? And in what order and where do I need to invest my money? Like, because there's so many things we can do, but the legal side of things, if we're not protected there, nothing else really matters.
Right. You're kind of like building a business on a house of cards, like rather than
Right.
sound.
Exactly. Exactly. So, can you share, Berkeley, a little bit about your firm and then how you're able to serve people? Because what's really cool about your business is it's not just one way, right? It's not like they just have to hire you directly. You kind of meet clients where they are in their journey, right?
Yes. And we have offerings for like every price point from like free resources, $17 digital products to like $15,000 offers. So I have my template shop. It's called the Business Studio. So we have like downloadable, lawyer drafted, fill in the blank contracts. So website policies, like privacy policies, your client agreement, disclaimers, all of that. You can just download them really easy. We also have a membership. So it's like Voxer access to me, like voice note, access to my template shop, legal trainings, guest experts, things like that. And then we also just work with clients in my firm one-on-one if you needed like one trademark or if you needed a combination of contracts and trademarks. We have VIP days, which are like packages. And then we have like an unlimited trademark offering for people who have a ton of trademarks. So we have a lot of different things.
That's incredible because I know so many people too that are like just starting their companies and they're like, I don't think that I can hire a lawyer to, help me one-on-one. Like this is gonna like cost me thousands of dollars and I don't know if I can invest in that right now. And I just need to like get my company up and running. So do you find like how do you determine so if someone comes to you and says, I'm going through a rebrand, these are my needs. How do you determine what program they need with you or how much of you they need?
So it depends a lot on like the stage of business they're in. Like if they are really just starting and they don't have any offers and they don't have a website yet, I would probably tell them to start off with like either the membership or the template shop and like trademark your business name. Like that's number one. But we also work with a lot of coaches and, creatives who are more advanced in their business and they have offers built out and they have retreats and they have, masterminds and digital products and all of the things. And they usually start with VIP days. So we'll start with like a legal audit. We'll go through your whole business and determine like what you need. And then we'll tackle like your three most important trademarks, copywriting your course, terms of purchase for your, digital products, things like that.
That's amazing. I'm just thinking about, all the women that I know that are doing these retreats and doing, they have they speak on big stages and, and I'm just wondering a lot of the clients that I have, I don't think they're protected.
I mean,
So I'm just
they're all just winging it to some extent, but it's, yeah, if you're speaking, you need a speaker agreement, all of the things.
yes. Yes. And I think, also being a solopreneur for, women, well, I specifically work with women. I know you mostly do as well, but being a solopreneur in business, it's like, you don't necessarily think about all these things, and when you're not when you're not selling a product, you're selling a service. It's very different than a company that's a large company and they're, like you said, selling like a skincare product or something like that. I think it comes more top of mind that you would need to be protected on those types of things.
Right. But the coaching space is like blowing up. Like the online space is crazy. Like it's very saturated. So you need to make sure, like I have conflicts all the time where I can't represent somebody because we have someone with a similar trademark. Like it's a very small world.
It is. It is. And this just, it makes me realize too, because there are so many different types of coaches out there. It's like, what is your uniqueness and what makes you unique? And those are the things, right, that you really need to make sure that you're protecting.
Absolutely. That's how people are going to know you and recognize you and how you're going to stand out.
Exactly. And so you actually, you talk about more than just the legal side of things with business, with clients, don't you?
I do. How did you know?
Well, I mean, I just know based upon looking at, I listened to one of your podcasts, and I can't remember which one it was, a podcast you were on, and I was listening to a little bit about, you were talking about the importance of authenticity and, and how you speak to your clients and your offerings and that type of thing, being unique and this authentic kind of way. And can you share how you kind of weave in the legal with, some of the other things that you're doing? And can you share a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, I am lucky in that my clients they're a lot like me. Like they're women. Some of them are moms. They're starting businesses. They have relationships. And I remember starting my firm and thinking like it was a con to like have a life outside of the law. That's kind of what you're like indoctrinated to think. Like it's like,
Right.
you're very serious, you're very like professional. And I'm just like, we met in person, like we talk about other things. We're people, like we're human beings.
Right.
And I just find that's just who I am. So I can't, if someone starts talking about something else, like during a discovery call, like I'm not like, no, we have to stay focused. Like I'm like, okay, yeah, tell me about that. That guy who's distracting you right now, who's like, you know, or like people bring their babies on calls all the time. So I just feel like that is just like a benefit of working with people who are like you, and having a business that isn't super uptight and formal. Like we take our work very seriously. We take our clients very seriously. I have an amazing, talented team. Like we don't miss things, but like we're also human beings, and I think that that's like a pro rather than a con, is like working with people who you can have a conversation with. And at the end of the day, like being someone's attorney or their advisor, like people come to me with more than just legal questions. They're like, well, what do I do in this situation? And it usually involves more than just legal advice. So I don't know, I feel really lucky that people come to me and I'm in a position of trust and guidance.
I love that too, because, as a, woman in business, it's almost like it's our child. Like it's part of us, right? It's our like whole heart and soul. And when you think about, legal stuff, it sounds very like you said, very like cut and dry, and it has to be professional and it has to be in a certain way. But our heart is also in our business. And, and even like, I know, I'm sure when people are working with you and there has been infringements on some of these things, like to be able to kind of hold space with them as they're like even grieving that, like that has to be really, really difficult.
Absolutely. Like there's a level of humanness that you have to bring to someone going through this because they're experiencing a loss, and like legal issues aren't fun. They're stressful. And you have to respect that people are like experiencing that, and be on that ride with them. And I am like, I don't know, maybe some would say I'm bad with boundaries or things like that. But I give a lot of my clients, like if they ask, like they have my cell phone, So I'm getting frantic text messages of like, I'm sorry I only text you and like things are going wrong, but like, what do I do? This is happening, And I feel like I don't know, I feel like it's a privilege to be that person that people come to. So.
Yes. And well, I mean, just as you said, Berkeley, like you understand what it's like. You are an entrepreneur, you have a family and, you understand all of these things. So I just knew when I met you, I was like, oh, I already have my trademarks. But if I didn't, you would be my person because I think it's so important to work with someone that is really niche in a certain area. Like I know that you would have more knowledge or more detailed knowledge and more experience than maybe someone else that does trademarks for, like different types of companies. When you're in that coaching space and that space with women that are, really, putting themselves out there and they are their brand. It's a big deal. So I'm so happy that I got to meet you. And I know in the future I need, more help and I'm doing a rebrand. You are going to be the first one that I call.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad I met you too.
Yes. And so can you just share with those that are listening how people can reach you? And I know definitely following you on social media. Can you share your handle? And of course, we'll have it in the show notes as well.
Yes, my Instagram is just at Berkeley Sweetapple. And then my website is berkeleysweetappleLaw.com. The templates are at thebusinessstudio.com. But you can reach out to me on Instagram, send me a DM, send me a voice note. Happy to chat.
I love that. Thank you so much for coming in today and, sharing all of your knowledge with us. And I'm just so excited for everyone to have a listen and get what they need and go and follow you and all the things because you offer so much. You like pour into people without even working with them. Like on social media, you share all of these little nuggets and things, and I love it. And I love how you weave in your beautiful family and all of that as well.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for joining in, and thank you, everyone.